All right, round two. Excuse me. So, more to talk about. I've said not to call this an assault rifle because it's not. But the thing is that just looking at it, this, from a distance, unless you look at it up close, I admit it looks like what our soldiers use in a theater of war, as President Obama loves to call it. These weapons should be on the theater of war, not on our streets. Well, he's right, sort of. As far as saying that, well, he's not even right, come to think of it, but because I'm of the opinion that we should be able to own machine guns if we want to. But that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is that he is trying to equate what I'm holding in my hand with what one of our soldiers in Afghanistan is holding. Yes, on the surface, cosmetically, they look similar. But there is a huge difference between what I'm holding and what our soldiers in Afghanistan have. All right. So, what our soldiers in Afghanistan have are true assault weapons, in the true sense of the word. The M16s, the M16A2s, the the M4s that they carry have a very different, or not different, but an additional feature that mine does not. I'm trying to figure out how to do this here. Take a look at this selector switch right here. I don't know how well it shows up, but let me hold it with this hand. Right here, it says safe. In fact, let's put it back on safe for a second. That's a selector switch. It says safe, and then up here, it says fire. Whoops, sorry. There. Now it's on fire. Well, it's on fire. No, the selector switch is pointing to fire. Now, when this is firing, excuse me, what happens is that if you pull the trigger when it's on fire, that's it. Now if there was a bullet in there, it would go boom, but that's it. Boom. And that's it. That is called semi-automatic fire. You pull the trigger, a bullet comes out. And then you can hold on to the trigger, but it won't do anything else. Let go of the trigger, pull it again, boom, it'll shoot again. That is called semi-automatic fire. One trigger pull, one bullet. And if you want another bullet to come out, you gotta pull the trigger again. And so yes, you can fire it fast, but the bottom line is, one pull of the trigger, one bullet. That is all. That's semi-automatic fire. And so many dunderheads out there, when they hear semi-automatic, they don't hear the semi part, all they think is automatic. So they are thinking that this weapon I'm holding in my hand, I can pull the trigger back and hold it, and as long as I hold the trigger, it's going ba 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 ba. That's automatic fire. And that's what our soldiers have in Afghanistan. Either full automatic, ba 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 ba, or what's called 3-round burst, which is you pull the trigger and it fires thrice, like this. Brr, brr, instead of boom, boom, boom. Alright, so bottom line again, this is a semi-automatic rifle. It can only fire semi-automatic, and that's it. Now, if this were a true assault weapon, what you would see different, what our soldiers in Afghanistan have, it still says fire here. Not fire, sorry, safe. Excuse me. It still says safe, so here it's on safe. Now, if I were holding a true assault rifle, like our soldiers have in Afghanistan, you'd go from safe to semi. It would not say fire here, it would say semi, so they do have the option of firing semi-automatic. But then there would be a third option right here, which is not present on my rifle. It's not there, but it would be on a soldier's rifle. Right there it would say either burst or auto. And that, the selector switch would go over one more time to burst or auto, A-U-T-O, and you would fire 3-round burst or fully automatic, depending on, most soldiers I think nowadays have 3-round burst. When I was in the Army, every weapon that I was given had 3-round burst. It did not have fully automatic, because basically it's a waste of ammo, fully automatic, because if you just keep firing full auto, your barrel goes up. But that's the bottom line, folks. See it? It's not there, because this is not an assault weapon. It is just a semi-automatic rifle. It just looks like an assault weapon. That's all. But looks don't matter, because I can't make this fire automatic. Bottom line. Alright. So that's the difference between an assault rifle and just a plain old semi-automatic rifle. Otherwise, it's all cosmetic. You know, the first assault weapons ban from 1994, I mean, it was acknowledged that they were just semi-automatic rifles. What they went after were what they called the military characteristics, like a bayonet lug, and a pistol grip, and a collapsible stock. That made it an assault weapon. It fired the same as just, you know, Grandpa's wooden stock semi-automatic hunting rifle, which wasn't banned. It's the same function, just different looks. They banned it on looks alone because it looks scary. Ooh, and it's black. Racist much, Dianne? All right. Next. Oh, yes. This is kind of interesting. This, like I said, shoots the .223 round. I showed you one earlier. And they sell a version of this that shoots the .22 long rifle. And, oh gosh darn it, I forgot to grab a .22 shell. I'm sorry. I thought I had it all. You can still hear me, right? This won't take long, they're right here. Alright. So, once again, my AR shoots this. A .22 long rifle looks like that. So as you can see, it's much smaller. Well, they make AR models that shoot the .22 long rifle. That's right. In fact, this banned list, there is, what is it called? The, where is it? The Armalite M15, no, there it is. Armalite M15 .22 long rifle carbine is on the banned list. So Armalite company makes a .22 long rifle that looks like basically this. And it's banned, or it's on the ban list that Feinstein released. Now, this is a .22 long rifle. This is my Marlin. And it uses a 10-round magazine. Get it in there. And it shoots the .22 long rifle. This is not on the banned list. So imagine I was holding, because they look almost exactly the same, imagine this was an Armalite M15 .22 long rifle. Imagine, because this is exactly what it looks like. A semi-automatic .22 long rifle, a semi-automatic .22 long rifle. This is on the ban list, this is not. They function exactly the same, they both shoot a 10-round magazine, but this is banned and this is not. That's the absurdity, the idiocy of the assault weapons ban. It is on cosmetics alone. I cannot, I just get so frustrated about all this. If this was a .22 and this is a .22, they would equally kill you or maim you, but this is okay to have, but this isn't, because of the look of it, because it's scary, according to Dianne Feinstein, and Chucky Schumer, and all these other panty wastes out there. On looks alone. This one will kill you just as much, but ooh, it's not scary looking. In the end, you're still getting hit with a .22 shell. I don't know. Can't make heads or tails of it. Now, let's get specific to California, because here's the tragedy. Even if Feinstein's fantasy bill gets shot down by the Senate and the House, and it's nothing, it goes nowhere, we still have some states to deal with. New York has already blown its wad and violated the rights of gun owners in New York State. California is just as batshit crazy as far as gun laws goes. And in fact, my AR has something, I don't even know if any other state has this feature. California does. It's called the bullet button. And see, the deal is that this magazine, or weapons like this, usually in other states, there's a button right here that you push with your thumb, and the magazine is supposed to come out. But it won't, because this is a bullet button. So the way a bullet button works, instead of a button you can just push with your thumb and the magazine comes out, what you have to do is use a tool, whether it's an Allen wrench or a pen or a bullet. And so with a bullet button, you have to use a tool to push inside there, but you can't do it with your thumb. You need something small enough that will reach inside that little hole and where the button is located, the true button is located. And they call it a bullet button because quite often somebody just grabs the nearest thing, which is a bullet. Alright, that's a California feature. They have to California requires them on weapons like this. So here's the absurdity of it. So how much money did the California state legislature spend debating this, approving it, the paperwork, you name it, making the manufacturers provide it, and all of that, and yet how easy is it to get around? You can buy a $12 adapter button or tool like this, and it has a magnet right there, and you just stick it in the hole, whoop, and it sticks because of the magnet, and looky here. Ta-da! $12. You can get them online for $20. That's all it takes to get around it. And so if I was some maniac who wanted to go shoot up some gun-free zone where I can go hunting humans because I know nobody will be carrying, and I had a California rifle like this, I wouldn't say, oh no, I have a bullet button, I can't easily change my magazines, oh no. No, I just go buy, and you don't even have to buy one of these things. You could just take a pencil eraser and stick it in there. And there it is. A workaround. And that's what's so stupid. Everything these legislators come up with, do you honestly think a non-law-abiding citizen is going to abide by the bullet button? Oh darn, I guess I can't do my massacre after all. I have a bullet button. Oh, wait a minute. Hello. Boom. There we go. And so once again, the leftist mindset is to think, well, if people can get these, let's outlaw them. Or they can say, how about we just let law-abiding citizens arm themselves, especially in human hunting preserves like gun-free zones, and let us defend ourselves instead of lying there waiting for our turn, waiting for the police. Remember, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away. All right. And that's all I have to show you as far as weapons go. I'll just leave you with my parting thoughts, and that has to do with the militia. A lot of people try to argue the Second Amendment with the whole militia thing. Well, it does say well-regulated militia. Well, well-regulated means well-armed, well-trained, and that can include self-training. When I go to the range, I am making sure I am well-regulated with this rifle, that it's sighted in, and I'm proficient in loading it and what have you, and I've practiced gun safety and everything else. As far as the militia goes, I'm the militia. I am part of the militia. Look up Title 10, United States Code, Section 311, and it says exactly who's in the militia. And it's everybody. There are people who have to be in the militia. That would be males aged 17 to 45, female members of the National Guard. They have to be in the militia. But that's all it says. These are the people who have to be in the militia. And through legalese, that means that anybody else is in the militia, they just don't have to be in the militia. The militia is you. The militia is me. The militia is the people, the whole people, as Richard Henry Lee said. And so anybody who says, you're not a member of the militia, we are the militia. That's the whole point. So when the Second Amendment talks about that militia, it's everybody. Excuse me. What I also find interesting is that until recently, the only really big Supreme Court case regarding the Second Amendment was a 1939 case called United States versus Miller. And here's the irony. You know, here we have Governor Cuomo, nobody needs 10 rounds to shoot a deer, we don't need these assault rifles, we need to keep these assault rifles out of the hands of civilians, and Feinstein and Obama, we don't need these weapons of war on the streets. Well, guess what, folks? If you read United States versus Miller, what it was some bootlegger who had a sawed-off shotgun. He got arrested for having the shotgun because it violated the National Firearms Act of 1934. And the Supreme Court's finding was that the sawed-off shotgun could be regulated, or, the guy could be stopped from having the shotgun because, as the Supreme Court said, it was not a militia weapon, the sawed-off shotgun. So what the Supreme Court said in United States versus Miller was that if you're going to own weapons, they need to be weapons of war. They need to be sufficient or appropriate for militia use. Guess what? If our soldiers have weapons like this, so should we. That's what United States versus Miller says. Now you could get lost in the weeds as far as talking about, well, no, Miller says this and Miller says that. Well, that's another argument for another day, but the bottom line is, U.S. versus Miller said that the American people, if they're going to be part of the militia, need to have militia-type weapons. Now, in my opinion, a shotgun is also a good militia-type weapon. Just ask the soldiers, well, you can't, they're all dead now, but in World War I, who used shotguns to sweep the trenches that the Germans were in. And we've carried shotguns in World War II and Vietnam and so on and so forth. But that's another argument for another day. There have also been other Supreme Court cases since then, like Heller versus D.C., or was it D.C. versus Heller, and then also McDonald in Chicago, other Supreme Court cases, which you can look up because I'm already getting a little long on the video. But the bottom line is, folks, is that I am the militia, this is a militia weapon, and I have every right under the Second Amendment to use this, to own it, to keep it, to bear it, because as the Second Amendment says, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Good night.